Well, you see how busy I was at the conferences. At one of the puzzle conferences, I learned several puzzles, one in particular which was quite cute I'd like to tell you about. Imagine that you're living in a country in which things are very insecure. If you mail a package, the contents are bound to be stolen unless you put a padlock on the box. Now, a man wants to send his girlfriend an engagement ring, but how can he do so in a secure manner? Of course, he can put a padlock on the box, but then when she receives the box, she won't be able to open it. She doesn't have a key. He can't very well mail her the key. She wouldn't be able to open the box to get the key. So how can it be done? Well, interestingly enough, if the box is sent back and forth, there is a very nice way which it can be done. I'll give you a hint. It's possible to have two padlocks on the box at the same time. Now here's the solution, which I think is quite elegant. The man puts the ring in the box, puts his padlock on, locks it, and mails it to his girlfriend. When she receives the box, she puts her padlock on, in addition. Then with the two padlocks, she mails it back to the man. Then he removes his padlock and sends the package back to her with her padlock on it, and she opens it. I thought it was quite an elegant solution. Now, those of you who have children, aged about between 6 and 8 or so, here's a very cute puzzle. See if they get it. A man lives in the country, and one day he has to go to the city for a couple of weeks on business. He tells his butler, if any mail comes into my mailbox, be sure and forward it to me. The butler agrees. The man goes away and waits a couple of days, doesn't get any mail. So he phones up his butler and says, what's happened? Didn't any mail come to my mailbox? Butler says, oh yes, of course. But the trouble is, you took the key with you and I can't open the box to get the mail. The man says, oh, don't worry. I'll mail you the key in the morning. See if the kid gets it. For my next ramble will also be, again through the Catskills, this time to the tune of another Bach prelude and fugue from the Well-Tempered Clavier Book 1, the gorgeous one in B-flat minor. Now I would like to tell you some of my favorite musical anecdotes and jokes. The first I'd like to tell you is the story told about Johannes Brahms and the amateur string quartet. Brahms knew four chamber players who were very poor musicians. They were such nice people that Brahms loved to associate with them. And one day they decided that would surprise Brahms. So they spent 6 months assiduously practicing his latest string quartet. And one evening at a party, they cornered Brahms and said, "Johannes, come upstairs, we have a surprise for you." So he went upstairs with them. They took out the instruments, thought to play his quartet. Well, the first move was as much as poor Brahms could bear. And he smiled very politely, started walking out of the room. The first violinist ran after him and said, Johannes, how was it? Was the tempo good?" Brahms said, "Oh, your tempos were all good. I think I like yours the best." I recently read a very charming story about Franz Liszt and Clara Schumann. You know, Clara Schumann had great contempt for Liszt's music. It was just pretty much a show-off and nothing more. Nevertheless, the two were good friends, and Liszt knew Clara Schumann's opinion of his work. But Liszt really evidently did have a good sense of humor, as the following incident will reveal. Once Clara Schumann had to give a concert, and Liszt escorted her, took her to the concert hall. When they looked and saw the audience was a very rowdy audience. And Clara Schumann said, "You know, the things I have prepared for these people, what I have is much too good for this crowd." So Liszt ironically said, "Then why'd you play some bad stuff by Liszt?" Next, I will tell you some things I recently read about Paganini, which increased my respect for him enormously. I also thought of him pretty much as a showman, but I found out a couple of interesting things. For one thing, he loved to play chamber music. He was very fond of playing Beethoven quartets. And also, many great musicians and critics at the time, including Clara Schumann's father, Frederick Wieck, an excellent musician and teacher himself, many of them said about Paganini, the most remarkable thing about him is not his virtuosity, which of course is outstanding, but the soulful way in which he plays slow movements. Frederick Wieck said, "When he played that Adagio, it moved me more than any bel canto singer I have heard." Another very charming thing about Paganini, there was a certain singer at the time, a lady singer, who had a good technique, a good voice, but was not very musical. And the way Paganini described her lack of musicality was priceless. He said, "I went to a concert. I was quite bored. She has a good voice, good technique, but she's lacking in musical philosophy."